Welcome to Coffee and Crypto with Lee and Jimmie. I am Lee Reiners, joined as always by Jimmie Lenz. Jimmie, you know what we like around here?
We like a lot of things. What are you thinking
Like
about?
well, you know what's product launches. You got to love a good product launch.
I love a good product launch. I really do.
And
What are you thinking there?
Well, we got a couple. I thought this episode would be really themed around product launches, right? Because we do a lot of policy.
A lot of policy.
And I know that's not your jam per se, right?
Yeah, not really.
You're a product guy, all right?
So I am kind of a product guy.
So let's start with Nasdaq. Okay.
Wow. So, I know, big announcement, right?
What do you think? So earlier this week, Nasdaq proposed, so they submitted a rule proposal to the SEC to allow their member firms and investors to tokenize equity securities and exchange traded products that trade on Nasdaq.
Yep. I think it's huge. I think this is, Nasdaq to me has always kind of been at the forefront, right? I mean, They were the first real electronic market. They were the first one with electronic market makers.
Mm-hmm.
They've pioneered a lot of things at Nasdaq. They've tried to do some things that didn't work out, but they've always kind of been at the forefront. And, the NYSE has kind of been a little bit of the afterthought. And now the NYSE, I mean, you never even hear the name anymore, right? I mean, they haven't done anything innovative in since the Buttonwood tree? Well, after the Buttonwood tree, but not a whole lot. Last thing, probably innovative thing they did was acquire Arca.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
yeah,
that was only 3 decades ago. Nasdaq has been at the forefront. They've been, really pioneers in using data for different things. They've, I think, been very, very innovative in a lot of the things that they've tried. And man, I tell you what, I hand it to them. I think they are going to leapfrog. I could see the NYSE as far as market cap of securities listed with something like this. That's my projection. In 2 years, they will leapfrog the NYSE.
Wow, bold projection. Let's mark that down and revisit it in 2 years here. I think this is super fascinating. They're doing it within the existing rule book, within the national market system, which I find interesting. So here's how it'll work, Jimmie. A broker will be able to place a trade, just like they always will. All right. And they will be able to select when they place that trade, do they want to do it in traditional form? Okay. Or in tokenized form, right? And a token is just a digital representation of ownership and rights on the blockchain, right? So so it's up to the issuer. So the issuer will have to choose whether or not they want to tokenize their equity. But that equity will be the same as, traditional equity, right? Same bundle of rights and obligations, okay? And so the order will select whether they want their trade. The order will be able to select, do you want to clear and settle in regular or tokenized form? Okay, exchange will communicate. So it's the same order book, okay?
Yep.
Exchange will communicate the participants' instructions to the DTC, right? So our friends
right?
We have
DTCC.
to shout out to our friends at DTCC. So DTC is the clearing, the equity clearing arm of DTCC. So they're still going to be involved. So they will really be the ones responsible for kind of running the tokenization,
carrying out the instructions. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So shout out to our friends at DTCC. So we love it. Legacy TradFi firms.
Yeah.
Innovating, Jimmie.
Embracing new technology, embracing, kind of all things new. And I'll tell you what, another projection I'll make here is that it's not going to stop at equities. Equities is only the entry point. We will see other assets as soon as this is approved. Within 6 months, we'll see other assets that they'll start looking at. And hey, you know what? Congratulations. I applaud this move in a huge way.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. Be interesting to see the uptake there. Okay, so second product launch today, Jimmie. Our friends, I think we can call them our friends at CBOE.
CBOE. Yep.
Right, at CBOE. And, I love it. And look, digital assets at Duke, we got to make a plug because registration is now live, right, Jimmie? Get on it, folks. Early bird discount ends October 15th. Seats are filling up fast, okay? So digitalassets@duke.org. But we love it when we see alums, right? Speaker alums at Digital Assets at Duke in the news. And with CBOE, we had a speaker from last year, Kathy Clay, global head of derivatives at CBOE. She spoke at a conference in Las Vegas to announce that CBOE was going to launch continuous futures for Bitcoin and Ether, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about perps, right? They don't use the term perps. They don't use perpetuals.
Perpetual style futures.
Perpetual style futures. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's structured as a single long dated contract with a 10-year expiration, cash settled.
Right.
So it's not perp. It's not a perpetual. I mean, there is a
No.
10-year, but it's similar to economic exposure, right, Jimmie?
Yeah, similar economic exposure, similar to leaps, which are 3-year, usually 3 years. But this is much longer dated. And again, I mean, it's cool to see this kind of innovation. I mean, the market is clamoring for this, right? I mean, we're seeing more and more derivative type trades being done in this marketplace.
Yeah.
And I mean, and people are wondering, well, why derivatives? Why not just do the underlying? Well, you get better leverage, you get the opportunity to hedge. There's a lot of reasons that we use derivatives for things. And this idea of perpetual style futures, I mean, that's kind of cutting edge type stuff. And let's face it, I mean, the CBOE, people don't think about it. They think about, oh, it's Chicago. But the CBOE has really, really expanded their offering in the last couple of years. For people who don't trade a lot of options or who don't look at options, I mean, I'm guessing the growth in options is probably 10x what it was a decade ago. I mean, it is huge right now. And the fact that they're moving into new asset classes, good for them. I applaud this. I think this is going to be this is going to take off. It really will.
Yeah. And essentially cleared, Jimmie. No counterparty risk here.
Yep. I mean, there are
essentially
a lot of
cleared through CBOE Clear US, right? Which is a CFTC regulated derivatives clearing organization. So, a lot of a lot of institutional investors, we talked about this a lot over the years, starting to get into crypto digital assets. They want to do it through a trusted name, through a trusted platform with the protections that they're used to, right? Essentially cleared. And CBOE stepping up to the plate here.
I had lunch today with an executive.
Thanks for inviting me.
Huh? Well,
Thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It was after a seminar. We have seminar.
You can't bring me around executives.
With one of the high frequency trading firms. I probably shouldn't mention which one, but one of the top high frequency trading firms. Okay. And he was talking about their digital assets business and how much it's grown, and how much institutional interest there is. He said, it's a 24-hour market. They've expanded, so they are doing more and more things in the 24-hour, they're a continuous marketplace, basically. Okay. And I mean, that's where this is going. I mean, we're seeing more and more places that are, in that spot. And so I'm very, very happy to see this kind of activity taking place. In particular on very traditional exchanges. So we have two very traditional exchanges launching new products. I mean,
we do. And, it's just the beginning, like you said, because if you read the Nasdaq, and I encourage folks to take a look at the actual Nasdaq filing to the SEC, because the way it works is that exchanges are self-regulatory organizations in the U.S., Jimmie, you know that, right? So they are responsible for setting rules that are applicable to all their members that trade on the exchange, but the SEC has to approve those rules, right? And so they really spell it out in there. Initially, right, we've talked about what are the benefits of tokenization. You said 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not initially available, but Nasdaq says, hey, we want to get there. We want to move there. I think they're going to 23 hours a day, 6 days. They mentioned in there, right? But you got to start somewhere. And this is the beginning.
Somewhere. And I mean, this is a 24-hour a day market. The big exchanges are, all operate that way. I mean, I think it's just natural. It's the natural progression of things. I mean, it really is. And let's face it, I mean, traders hate weekends. 2 days where anything can go
relax.
wrong. But anything can go, and then you can't get back in the market for a couple of days, and you're all stressed out and worried. It's like it's much easier if we actually trade 24/7 at the end of the day.
All right. Okay. Well, third, I guess I'm gonna lump this into the product launch category, Jimmie. Here.
Okay, kind of is. I know what you're going.
Kind of is unique, right? So I don't know if you and I have talked about Hyperliquid before on this show.
Enough.
You probably know more about them than I do, but they are a very big decentralized exchange, right? They're a DeFi platform, especially around derivatives. So they, speaking of perps, perpetual futures, they are the largest DeFi platform for perps trading, right?
Yeah.
And they do it all on their own layer 1 blockchain, and they have a governance token, the Hype token. Right? And the Hype token is, it's a pretty well-known token. So anyway, just like most DEXs, Jimmie, people trade using stable coins,
Sure.
right? That's the settlement mechanism there. And, historically on Hyperliquid, it's been USDC.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's roughly $5.5 billion, I think, of USDC that's on Hyperliquid. And as we know, Jimmie, that reserve income goes to Circle and then they share it with Coinbase.
Yep.
Right. And so the Hyperliquid community, and I'm using community in air quotes here because I'm not kind of sure how decentralized this whole initiative is here. Curious to get your thoughts on that, Jimmie. But they're saying, look, why should we let someone else profit off of providing the liquidity for our platform here?
Right.
You've talked about this. That this is kind of the point of your paper, and it actually dovetails with your paper.
Pretty much is.
Yeah, and that's why I thought this story was so fascinating. So they say, why don't we have our own stablecoin?
Sure.
And people can trade on our platform using our own stablecoin, and we can keep that reserve income within our ecosystem.
Sure.
And share it with our users is the logic there.
Yep.
So what they did then is essentially put out a bid, an RFP, request for proposal, and they said, we want our own native stablecoin. They're calling it USDH, US dollar hyper, right? USDH, and submit a proposal, and the community will vote, right? Up or down vote. And people are responding. Stablecoin issuers are responding. So there's kind of essentially been a bidding war here.
A bidding war. There has been a bidding war for this. There absolutely has been a bidding war to be the underlying issuer of this. And
so you have, some of the bigger names, right? So in USDC Circle, I mean, they've announced some changes. So they've actually decided, we're going to actually issue USDC natively on the Hyperliquid blockchain, right? On the layer 1. And then we're going to create what they call a cross-chain transfer protocol, so you can move your USDC from off of Hyperliquid into other blockchains.
Other blockchains, sure.
But they thus far haven't offered to share any of that reserve revenue. So you got bids here from Paxos. Okay, we all know Paxos, big name there, and they're saying, look, we're Genius and Mika compliant. We've done this before. We have a relationship with PayPal. We can integrate with PayPal. And they're offering, and this seems to be what everyone is kind of offering here, Jimmie, all the bidders, we're going to share essentially all of the reserve revenue,
all the
yield. How they're going to do that? They're going to buy the Hype token, right? So essentially share buybacks.
Yeah.
We're going to buy the Hype token. And that'll obviously push up the price of the token. And it's funny, Jimmie, because you've actually seen in anticipation of this, the Hype token go up, right?
It has gone up. Yep.
It's kind of baked in some of these proposals already.
Yep.
So the vote is open for anyone who holds the Hype token or specifically who has staked the Hype token.
Right.
And, there's all these staking as a service provider. So there's a lot that has to be kind of fleshed out there. But September 14th, so Sunday, is the we'll know.
We should know.
It sounds like some of the stuff I've been reading, there's this new stablecoin issuer called Native Markets that was founded or co-founded by someone who also was involved in the development of Hyperliquid. And I know there's some controversy. There's always controversy in crypto. I don't know.
Yeah, controversy, anything like this.
But it seems like they're
money at stake.
It seems like they're the leader in the clubhouse for the stable coin. I don't think they've actually issued a stable coin this company before. So I just, this thing is fascinating. I don't know if I have an opinion on it other than this doesn't, do you think this is really decentralized, what's going on here?
Do I think it's really decentralized? Well, I mean, the decision-making is somewhat decentralized, I think. The voting and things like that is somewhat decentralized. I mean, the fact that there's a couple of things.
Someone had to make the call, right? Someone had to make the call.
Somebody had to make the call
to say, let's do this.
It's a smart business decision, to keep that in-house. Why not? Why not? You can get a little yield. Why not do that? I love the fact that it's denominated in US dollars. Again, a big vote for the reserve currency of the world. The fact that, they're moving in this direction, I'm just not that surprised. I really am. The one nice thing,
distribution, right?
Huh?
Isn't that was the whole point of your paper? Distribution.
Yeah, distribution. This is it. I was just going to say that. I mean, to me, this is the way that, I mean, it allows people, allows companies, it allows groups to monetize things in a number of different ways, and it's basically limited by what you can kind of conceive, what you can think about.
Yeah, I mean,
and the fact that they are as big as they are in the DeFi space, I mean, it kind of makes sense for them to, to capitalize on this. It reminds me, and I was thinking about this when I first read about it. It reminded me a lot. If you look at, a lot of financial institutions, traditional financial institutions, if you look at brokerage firms, for instance, and you look at how they make their money. I always ask people this: how do brokerage firms make money? And people are like, well, their trading books or, their commissions. It's like, no, folks, look at their net interest income and then look at their bottom line. And those two numbers are always very, very similar.
Pretty close.
Net interest income. Basically, that's what we're talking here is net interest income.
Yeah. I mean, is this a harbinger of what's to come for Circle? This is not good for them, right? I mean, this is 7%. This is 7, so 7% of USDC is on Hyperliquid. So just think of, so that's 5.5 billion, 4% yield roughly. I mean, so you're talking over $100 million.
And this could be substantial. I mean, I make a little bit of a, I don't make a projection about Circle, but we certainly use it in the paper. And I think it's going to be tough. I think, people are seeing, hey, wait a minute, why am I leaving money on the table here? It's not that hard to do this. I'm gonna just start my own and take that off the table. I think we're going to see more of this rather than less.
Yeah, stablecoins as a service almost. I don't know. Okay. Well, we'll keep our eye on this. We'll update the poll results next Friday, Jimmie. Okay. Yeah. So that covers our product launch segment of the show today.
That's a lot of products.
That is 3 products, right? 3 products. That's pretty good.
For 1 week?
For 1 week. Yeah, we can't be all just, policy regulation stuff. So the next story, interesting NBC story that I saw, Jimmie, around cryptocurrency ownership. Because I think people have been grappling with this question for quite a while, especially in the wake of the election, because the crypto industry claimed that, there was all these kind of, motivated one-issue crypto voters who, swung heavily for Donald Trump. And I've always been skeptical of that argument. And, to support it, they marshal out these polls that, like, if you actually read the polls, like, they're funded by the crypto industry. There's some methodology challenges. So there's just not a lot of good data, I feel like, on cryptocurrency ownership. So I was intrigued when NBC, and like mainstream mainstream whatever. I know people have feelings about that. But they did a poll with SurveyMonkey to gauge cryptocurrency ownership. I'm just going to go over the results, Jimmie, and then I want to get your reaction to them. I'll just say up top, I was not really all that surprised by what I saw here, but curious to hear what you say. Okay, so first of all, just around the adult population, okay? 2% of the entire adult population in America say they own or trade crypto regularly, while another 11% say they do occasionally. Okay, so you're looking at 13% of the adult population who uses crypto, trades crypto. Another 21% of the adult population said they do not own any crypto but are interested in it, while the remaining 2/3 of adults say they don't own crypto and aren't interested in it. So 66%. Okay, so that's the overall population, adult population in the U.S. Big difference, though, between men and women, Jimmie.
Right.
Men and women, right? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Remember that back in the 90s? What was that a big thing?
I was going to say, that's like really dated.
That's like an Oprah reference or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ways.
So men are far more likely to say they own or trade crypto. 18% of men say that. Only 7% of women say they own or trade crypto. Big difference amongst ages. Okay. So among adult men under 30, 20% say they own or trade crypto, while just 6% of women under 30 say they own or trade crypto.
Yeah.
So twice as many men ages 30 to 44.
Which I thought was an interesting demographic, that 30 to 44.
That 30 to 44, I'm in there. Let me just put that out there. That's me.
No,
That's
were you surprised at this percentage,
amongst people 30 to 44, twice as many men as opposed to women were going to own or trade crypto. So 26% of men in that age group own or trade crypto, only 13% of women. So, Jimmie, I think this just once again proves that women are just smarter than men.
I don't know. I think these polls, I'm always kind of suspect. Who answers the polls? I mean, I don't know. So I don't know how scientific the polling was. I saw when they did it, and it was an online poll. So the margin of error is within the realm. It's about 2%. But I was I don't know. I'm a little bit suspect of the poll, honestly, just the way that it was distributed and that kind of thing. However, and honestly, the overall ownership, I don't know. That doesn't really jibe with what I see, what I've seen reported on IRS forms. So, but IRS forms are marriage filed jointly. Those kinds of things kind of skew the results a little bit, probably. But I was surprised, maybe, that how much it did skew age wise. That 30 to 44, over a quarter of the men in the U.S. say they own crypto. I mean, that's a pretty substantial number. The Democrat versus Republican thing, I don't believe that one. I think a lot of people don't want to admit it, who are Democrats, honestly.
Come on.
Absolutely. I mean,
no way.
You don't think so?
So here's the data, just to fill in Jimmie's point there. So twice as many Republicans at 18% say they own or trade crypto as Democrats at 9%. Okay, so 18% of Republicans say they own or trade crypto, 19% of Democrats. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
so, twice as many.
I was I'm kind of surprised at some of those, but I mean, it's interesting. But I just don't see. I don't know. I don't know how valid this really is. Yeah,
I mean, polls, I'm with you on that. I think there is a clear trend amongst all the polls that I've seen over the past couple of years, which is that crypto, young men, right? It's a young man's game. It's primarily young men.
Young men's game.
And me. And Jim, well, you're young at heart, dude. Come on, I'm putting you as a young man. All right, let's. So
on the subject of polling, I will announce to our readers right now. I'm actually working with another professor that we're going to be releasing a poll over the next couple of weeks to gauge interest and a little bit more understanding around digital assets in general. We are going to try a scientific poll. We're going to be, as I said, releasing it fairly quickly. We're going to try to do it twice in the next. So
when you say release it, you have results, or
no. We're going to be releasing the actual poll. So we're going to be sending out the poll.
You're going to putting it in the field, as they say.
Yes, we're going to be putting it into the field. We are going to collect a fair amount of demographics so that we know what kind of a cross section that we get. We're going to try to get at least a couple of thousand results to start with across the United States. And so we're going to be doing this in the next couple of weeks. So I'll talk about it again. But just to get people's appetite whetted there a little bit, we will be sending it out to folks, and we'll be using social media and things like that to distribute it.
I dig it. I dig it. Trying to be the University of Michigan consumer sentiment survey for crypto. Right?
Exactly.
Can you monetize that? Probably.
I don't know. Probably not.
Duke would probably throw up roadblocks there. We don't have to go down that path.
I was going to say, let's not reverse that road right now.
Yeah, exactly. I know you got thoughts. That's like another podcast.
That's a long podcast.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to a little juicy. We like to. It's Friday, a long week. A little juicy billionaire drama story here, Jimmie. So I don't think you and I have really talked about the holdup here in confirming Brian Quintenz as the next chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And
we haven't talked about it at all.
And when President Trump first nominated him, the consensus amongst everyone, including me, was that he was a shoo-in. This was going to happen. It was probably going to happen right away, given the priority the administration was placing on crypto. And it just hasn't happened. Like, it's just the nomination has stalled. He did have a confirmation hearing, but he hasn't. I don't know if the committee voted. I think the committee did vote him out, but he hasn't had a full Senate floor vote for sure.
I don't even know. Has it been voted out of committee?
So obviously people started asking questions. I actually think there was going to be a committee hearing. Now that I think about it, there's going to be a committee vote. He already had his hearing. There's going to be a committee vote, and at the last minute, the committee leadership decided not to proceed with that vote. And then obviously that raised a whole bunch of questions, and then the media started digging around. And it turns out that for what were unknown reasons at the time, the Winklevoss twins Cameron and Tyler. And by the way, next Friday, we're going to do our Gemini S1 deep dive. Okay. So they went public
Oh, I
today,
thought we were going to have
folks.
the Winklevoss twins on. We're not going to have them on? I thought
Next,
we were going to have them on. Well, let's do the S1 first.
Cameron and Tyler.
We can have the twins on later.
Okay, so Cameron and Tyler, we're gonna do a deep dive in your S1. Okay, you went public today. I haven't looked at the results. I don't know how they popped yet, so we'll talk about this on Friday, next Friday, and then the following Friday they're gonna come on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously they're gonna listen to this and
well,
jump
yeah,
on.
of course. I mean,
and then they can talk about why they don't like Brian Quintenz. Okay. Yeah. So apparently, because Cameron and Tyler are buddies with Donald Trump, President Trump, they're giving him a lot of money, just like everyone else in crypto. And they said, hey, we don't think this Quintenz guy is mega enough, I guess, and so the nomination has just completely stalled. And the crypto industry, at least portions of it, have tried to rally behind Quintenz. So I know like the Blockchain Association and all the other crypto trade groups issued a letter in support of Quintenz recently. And so in a very unusual move, Jimmie, Quintenz himself has gone public sort of in defense of his own nomination. I mean, normally the way it works is that, other people fight these battles for the nominee. Right. Everyone has their own their proxies. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Their own proxies.
And if you got nominated for something, I would be out there fighting for you and saying, no, he's not as abusive as you think. Anyway, so Quintenz shares on Twitter X a series of text messages that he said he'd exchanged with Tyler Winklevoss. This was, I think, dated July 24th. Okay. So a few months ago.
Yep.
And in this exchange, Tyler Winklevoss is asking Quintenz if he had seen a letter that Gemini had filed with the CFTC's Inspector General complaining about how the company was treated in a previous enforcement case by CFTC attorneys, right? Basically claiming they were picked on.
Yeah.
And Quintenz in his response was basically trying to diffuse the situation.
I was saying, it was seeming like a pretty innocuous response, really.
Yeah, and he was kind of like, "Look, I'm not chairman yet. I can't really be commenting or getting too involved in these matters. All I can do is, I promise you I'll look into it when I get there. But I don't know kind of what you want me to do." And Tyler kept pressing in this exchange, very, billionaires. I tell you what, I mean, how many more examples do we need that, money does not buy happiness? Because my God, what a whiny.
Larry looks pretty happy these days. Larry Ellison. Yeah. He looks pretty happy these days.
Past Elon.
Yeah.
Past Elon. This is how you got to spend money, folks, right? Rather than try to buy elections and buy the presidency, buy an island in Hawaii.
Buy an island.
Buy an island in Hawaii.
Boats,
win the America's Cup, right?
There you go.
By the
way, Gemini popped like 40% today.
40%, not surprised.
40%, yeah.
So anyway, that's where, so I don't know, bizarre exchange. I don't know if it'll make a difference at all here, but just not used to seeing stuff like this. And, more drama for crypto. And this is a big, look, it's juicy, it's interesting, but also Congress is debating giving the CFTC a tremendous amount of authority and oversight over crypto markets, and they need to be like a functioning, well-run regulator in order to do the job that Congress may be giving them. And so I don't know how we go from here, but it's a mess.
I don't know. I mean, to what extent can you have a personal opinion? What extent can you, and especially in this case, I think this case was, I mean, if he would have said, hey, I'll look into it for you, or hey, let me see what I can do, it's one thing. But to give kind of an innocuous response, and he can't control. It's kind of like, getting mail. I can't control who sends me junk. It just comes in, and it seems like it comes in more and more every day. But I don't know. This is a strange one. This is kind of a strange one. If this is what's holding things up, I have to wonder why.
Yeah. All right, Jimmie, we'll follow all this drama and other crypto news next week on Coffee and Crypto. I wish you a fantastic weekend, my friend.
Hey, you know what? Before the end, I want to say it was 9/11 this week, a big week on Wall Street, 24th anniversary. I know, you have a special case for 9/11. It caused you to join the military. Thank you for your service, Lee.
It
And
did. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, everybody should take a moment and remember 9/11.
Yeah, great reminder. Obviously a pretty wild and sad news week. But like it says, never forget.
Never
Right?
forget.
And we cannot never forget. And there's still people who are physically suffering, from a lot of people died obviously on that day, but there's been, more deaths since with all the smoke inhalation and whatnot, and people are still struggling with that. So
absolutely.
Yep. Great point, Jimmy. All right, my friend.
Listen,
I will talk to you
have a
next
great
week.
weekend, Lee.